Okay.
Deep in conversation. We should record this. All right, it's recording. Oh shit! What
do we say about? Now? No, well, I was so more going back to, and I'm going to try my best not to sound like I'm interviewing you now, only because I have to essentially establish what we discussed so far. So you explained to me what surrealist movement
theater. Yeah.
Oh, see, I remember surrealist movement theater was, which after you explained it, I compared it to Curb Your Enthusiasm. And that was wrong. So I'll let you explain it again for anyone.
So like anything that's surreal kind of works on the subconscious. You're really supposed to be gathering the images, gathering the themes, and then after synthesizing them into your own interpretation. So I very much really love David Lynch because there are some like clear interpretation to his films, but a lot of it is you understand the feelings, and from that you glean the meaning. For the theater that I do, often it's, if there is a plot, it's a very thin narrative that's sort of drawn through. Because
that's what I was asking you. Like, is there, because you were describing a scene, which I probably won't ask you to do now, because if someone listens to this, then they might not, then they won't be as inspired to see it. But actually,
they might. I think,
it's true, because I definitely want to see it after you explained it, because I was just like, oh, this sounds interesting, but I can't. I'm visualizing, but I'm also confused. Also, it was interesting. The first time you told me, before you told me that there was a race aspect to it, I pictured everyone white.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I don't want to play the, like, hey, I'm a white girl who has no black friends.
No.
But, like, my friend Chris, who is playing in the piece, this is the first time that I, like, kind of saw him and, like, tried to play on the, like, the race card with him. So his character is like the caretaker is kind of the word that I used, and he's got to like kind of take care of this, like, I don't know, in this scene I always envision Nick's character as being a priest.
Okay.
And so in this scene, basically Nick's character comes in with a bowl of milk. Chris comes in carrying another actor. Chris drops the other actor in front of the bowl of milk. The other actor can't really walk, kind of like stumbles about, and then eventually is on all fours in front of the milk. This is repeated a couple more times until there are 3 actors in front of 3 bowls of milk. Chris then becomes a little bit distressed, doesn't like what's happening. It's not clear to the audience what is happening. But eventually Nick then bullies Chris away. The dogs, or the characters that are on the floor in front of the milk. Then
so they're dogs.
Dog beetle type character things.
I kept thinking cats because of milk. Interesting. Okay, cool.
They then fight over a pair of shoes that's on one of the actors. And then Nick puts them into place. Nick then proceeds to drown one of them in the milk, then drown another in the milk, then point to the center one and forces the 2 outside to drown the center one. The center one then passes out. We're not sure if they're dead or not. And then everyone leaves the stage carrying a bowl of milk. Except for the one that was passed out that just stays on the stage in a puddle of milk.
Oh boy. Oh, and the bowl, with the bowl and everything, just stays there. Okay.
So that scene, like, I feel like that's a really good example of, like, okay, there are clearly things happening. As an audience member, you're not given any context. You see that there are clear actions. You can see the emotions of the characters, but you don't get spoon-fed what's happening in the scene. Though your own experiences. So if you're someone who, like, works with a boss that's, like, demanding, and that you can't, like, you can see that and you can feel the tension. One of the things that I like doing with my pieces is creating, like, very visceral and clear images that you can then reflect upon after to see what the meaning is. With my previous piece, Lynch Wet Dream, it was me examining sort of the events that led up to my suicide attempt. And a lot of people came back being like, oh, it's a piece about being an artist. Oh, it's a piece about being a woman in the world. And none of those interpretations were wrong, but they weren't like they weren't what I used to get there. Though I think that they're all valid.
When I was in school, I had a professor, Robert Danish, and we did interpersonal communication, and he was always just like, well, like, almost everything we studied came down to understanding that every interaction you have is based on your understanding of the world to that point. So, like, even if someone gives you context on something, the context is still framed by what you understand. And I always found that super interesting. And the fact that what you're doing doesn't come in with detail or explanation, it's more just actions.
Yeah.
I like the fact that it plays on people's understandings, because you're not telling them. You're like, this is just happening, and they're sitting there. And like I was saying, like, based on your description, had I seen that, I probably would have, being black, would have identified with the caretaker character. Mm-hmm. Not everyone does that, but I tend to. And then seeing the like dogs, I definitely would have understood them as, I guess maybe based on their movements, I might have understood them as dogs more, but based on the description at the time, because there was milk, because of my understanding of cats with milk, which is such a social, like, also fake construct. Cats don't tend to drink milk from bowls. Like, I don't know why. I don't know why we've always depicted them doing that. But in my head, seeing that, I would have been like, oh, so there's cats. Oh, you're drowning cats. Oh, the cats are now drowning another cat. Why are the cats drowning cats? What is happening?
I put a preface in the
Is your earring trying to run away?
It really is.
Don't run away, earring.
Don't run away, earring. I put in the director's note all the time that, like, I ask the audience really to not try to analyze what's happening in the scene. Because people get really frustrated in my shows and they get really lost.
Yeah.
And like, it's a lot easier for yourself to draw, because that's the way the human mind works. Okay, this thing happened to another thing, this thing happened after that thing. Okay, now I'm going to create a story about that, and then I'm going to tell you that anecdote. Life doesn't happen in, like, nice packaged anecdotes. It's just one event after another. So, like, especially with this type of work, it's best to consume the whole thing and then reflect on the images that stood out for you. And then there you can glean some meaning. Like, I wanted to embed some themes of gender dysphoria and body dysmorphia, as well as the race and class issues. But I don't want to beat people over the head with my, like, moralistic judgment. I just want to, like, hey, these are the sort of feelings that I get when I think about this. I'm going to recreate these images for you. And then maybe for someone who doesn't understand what it really feels like, as, like, I'm not trans, what it feels like to be going through gender dysphoria, having a very, like, abstract, surreal example of that will help you understand. And, like, if you're someone who is, like, super conservative and not with the movement, maybe be able to identify with it.
Ooh, interesting. I would love to hear what a conservative person has to say after seeing one of your pieces.
I don't know if I would ever get any Bible Belts Americans coming to see.
Well, more just because the other thing is, like, because your show is not described as being about that, though, it might be something. I'm not, not tricking, but tricking. Like, hey, you want to see this cool show? What's it about? You decide. And then you just bring them in, they sit down, and, like, at the end they're just like, I didn't realize that Jesus was, and you're like, what? Like, this is the most interesting take I've seen yet.
Yeah, especially as a director that, like, I don't care if people get a different interpretation than the one I went into. I don't know if I would be happy, like, if it was a completely it's challenging, right?
That I find that, because I would find that super interesting. Just the idea that, like I was saying, if someone's experiences are so unique, like Bible Belt, Southern, and, like, very specific to, like, conservative Christian classic values, and then they come in and watch something and there's no context given, like me, once again, with the bowl of milk, because this is a simple one, but a bowl of milk to me represents cats. Like, what is it going to represent to them when you start drowning and, like, there's three of them?
There could be a baptism. That could be, like, imagery for baptisms.
Oh, dude, that's interesting. Oh, my God, we might have to trick some conservatives. We don't have to go that far anymore. Ontario. Too soon. Okay, that's cool. I really wish I could go see it. I really do. I mean, there's other days, right?
Well, you're a busy guy, but
Oh my God, I'm so happy I'm not working 2 jobs anymore. I just sometimes think about the fact that, like, there was today, for example, is when I would have been at work till 8 p.m. and I look outside and see how beautiful it is, and I'm like, look at that fountain in the sun at that angle. And it's just like, no. I can't imagine sitting behind a desk again like I used to do.
No, like, working on the, like, and I know having, like, in that you have to produce podcasts and stuff, there's some work that you have to do behind a desk. Even if it's creative work. And, like, the last 3 weeks spending just, like, in my basement apartment, like, looking at the light shining in. It's so nice. All right, I'm going to edit this projection. It's so nice. All right, I'm going to edit this really scary sound for when someone's getting drowned.
Do you ever find yourself like looking outside and just like the outside affecting how you want to tell something? Like as you're working on it and it's like raining that day, all of a sudden something that you might have written yesterday feels different from when it was sunny.
I don't know. Like I'm sure because you were like really into music. I'm sure you've had the case where it's like I've like been listening to music. I'm like, oh, I'm like literally just filming the music video for this. And if it's a really like there was one day that I was listening to a Coldplay song and it was raining outside. Yeah. And it was like, oh, it's beautiful. This is the video.
Yeah.
And so
what's that called? There's a word for it. Anyway, sorry. I'll look it up later. There's a word for when like the music fits perfectly in rhythm with like what's happening.
Yeah.
But I never know the word.
Yeah.
But yeah, a Coldplay song with rain just sounds right.
Yeah. And it was like sunny, so there was like little rainbows everywhere.
Cool.
It was so beautiful.
I like those.
Yeah. I don't know if that like affects because like a lot of my work starts as just like an image that I want to see. So like the scene that I described was like, oh, I think it'd be cool if we got one guy drowning some other guys.
How do I work to that?
Yeah. So and then I'm really lucky to have an ensemble that I'm like, all right, this is what I want to do. And at first they'll all be like, oh, okay, all right, Natasha, I guess we'll do this. And then eventually it'll flesh out for like a more full scene. Yeah. And a lot of the time I'm just like, okay, I want you to see you do this. And like, why am I doing this?
Oh,
like,
before I forget, I wanted to ask you this. Can you do the scenes out of the order that it's in right now? Like, because there's a specific order, I imagine, that everyone has practiced it in. Yeah. But is there? Oh, wait, because you're smiling a little, so I'm like, wait, is there a different version?
I don't think so. I don't think the arc of the piece would make sense.
So there is an arc.
There is. Okay. I think it's an arc that like you get sort of emotionally and dramatically by intensity.
Interesting.
So like the first scene definitely feels like an introduction, and then you see kind of the world that the characters are living in, even if it's not the same characters. And then each scene gets either gradually more intense. There's a little bit of a sort of crescendo. What do they call that? A climax. Yeah. And then you have a bit of a denouement at the end. I guess you could change the order, but at that point, I don't think it would feel like a show.
Interesting.
Yeah, it might feel like a review show where you're like, here's this scene, and here's this weird image, and here's that weird image. Also, that would be a nightmare for tech. And I'm doing tech, so I don't want that nightmare.
I like that idea.
Yeah. All right, Natasha, we're doing a different scene. Do the actors know? Nah, it's okay.
Wing it. Start in the middle of this scene. What? No, I can't even do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man, it's funny.
I didn't really... So Fringe just started.
Fringe started on the 6th.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So this is the first weekend come to a close.
And how many weekends is it now?
2.
Oh, okay.
So it's 2 weeks ish.
I'm going to okay. I see it because on the schedule it says Thursday, Friday, Sunday, Monday.
Yeah.
Thursday. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so they do shows like all the way into the week too.
Yeah.
I didn't realize.
Like I've got a Thursday 3:30 p.m. show, and I'm not I know it's not going to be a great audience other than like people who are at the Fringe. Okay. So like I guess they can do that because the festival is growing, but like when you go to like Edinburgh Fringe Festival, people come, they take 2 months off to go to Edinburgh Fringe type thing. Oh, dope. And then so like you can fill a house at like 1 p.m. on a Monday.
Oh, cool.
Whereas like in Montreal, if you're trying to like draw from the general public, they're gonna be like, well, I'm working.
Yeah.
I can't come to a 3 p.m. show.
I know. It'd be interesting to be in one of the smaller audiences.
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, I like the idea of a 3 p.m. show on a Thursday.
Yeah. It's interesting because
cough, cough. Cough.
But yeah.
My boss like listens to this later. It's just like, oh, that's why he didn't come into work that day.
He was seeing some weird ass movement theater.
If anything, my boss is so cool. I'd probably try and convince her to come.
Yeah.
No, I really would if she was, because she's out of town. But if she was like in town, I'd be like, you want to come see this surrealist movement piece with me? I'd be like, yeah, actually I do, because she is cool like that. So this is, you said your second one, the second directed piece.
Yeah.
The David Lynch one is your first one?
So I guess David Lynch would be my first one. I directed an ensemble last year.
Oh, okay.
So like David Lynch was like a one-woman show that I like directed and created, and performed. So I wouldn't really say it's directed. Like it was conceived by me. It's interesting because I prefer the French word mise en scène, metteur en scène.
Yeah.
Because like it really, it's like you're the outside eye.
Yeah.
You're someone who composes the piece as opposed to like directing.
Yeah.
I feel like the word isn't ideal. Move
Marionette.
over there. Yeah.
Dance, puppets.
Yeah. Whereas like I feel like.
But mise en scène is definitely like, I'm creating a scene. Move through it.
Yeah.
With your...
Well, it also gives a lot more credence to the actors as, like, artists.
Yeah.
Because I find that, like, in French, the word is interprète, interpreter.
Yeah.
So they get a lot more credence and clout as like, performers. And then the metteur en scène is just like, okay, so that made sense as far as the big picture. I need you to be less here, and then this bit, this bit of the performance needs to be brought out more to tell the story, but then you as the actor, you understand your part.
So it's almost like a conductor.
Yeah,
because even just the way you moved your hands just now, it was like you were conducting the way you like.
Yeah, when people ask me, oh, did you write this piece? I much like, and it's so hard to not sound super pretentious, but I much prefer saying like, no, I composed it, which is like, it sounds so fucking pretentious.
No, I'm a composer.
I'm a composer, but like it makes a lot more sense because I wrote it, but like the extent of like the writing in this piece is like this happens, the other thing happens.
Yeah.
So
Composer. Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any other things at Fringe that you're like super excited to see, like that any of your fellow composers have worked on?
Yeah, Interstellar Elder is back again. Ingrid is like an amazing movement like dancer. She's like one of the people I watch, and I'm like, fuck. I wish I could move like you and like have the sort of like interesting like mix between being like a clown but also like a really beautiful dancer.
Question: did she study clowning?
I think she studied dance. I'm not sure if she studied clowning.
Is clowning the right term?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Studied clown, yeah.
Yeah.
The other one that has been getting a lot of really good press is Dance Side of the Moon, where Maxine Seglowitz does an entire piece, start to finish, of Dark Side of the Moon, doing dances through it.
Oh,
projections
cool.
And shit. Yeah. I have not seen that one yet, but it was composed by my friend and mentor for Linchouette Dream, Helen Simard.
Okay.
She's also working at the festival. She's like such a badass. I cannot say a bad thing about Helen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and then there's like the Fringe favorites. Jem Rolls' I, Idiot. If you've ever seen a Jem Rolls show, he's just the very tall, spindly Scottish man that talks at you for about 45 minutes.
With the mustache?
He doesn't have a mustache right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm picturing someone with the twirly tipped mustache. I'm wondering if that's the right guy.
I think it's a different guy.
Okay, yeah, see, hashtag all white people look alike. I'm joking. Because my girlfriend's white, so that would be weird.
Yeah. Did you have a mustache yesterday?
Yeah, that wasn't
I should
you.
not have made out with that person.
Oh, I was wondering why kissing that person seemed so weird. It was a gentleman with a mustache. It tickled my lip. That's funny.
Side note: have you ever kissed someone with a beard? Because you have a beard.
No.
I have like this like cute because I've never seen two guys with beards.
Bearded.
I like have this funny idea of them getting like all tangled up.
I've seen the picture of there's a picture of these two gentlemen who have sparkles in their beard.
Sparkle beard, yeah.
Yeah, and then they they kiss and but they move with such force that the sparkle kind of went like poof.
Oh, that's adorable.
And I was just like, interesting. No, I've actually never kissed a guy.
Yeah.
I've probably kissed girls with slight facial hair, I guess, yeah. Now that I think back, now that there's this whole movement of identifying, how did they identify?
Yeah.
Once again, framed by my context and assumptions.
Yeah.
That's the world.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because one of the actors is trans in my show, and it has been a lot harder for me to remember to use their proper pronouns.
They
go by they them, and it's really, really hard. And after reading a bunch of And it's frustrating because like anytime you meet someone that like is other to you, you want to talk to them, and like you have to understand.
Oh, I know,
you are not a poster boy for this movie. You just existing in public. You might just be going to get milk. You just want to get milk. You don't want to have to educate someone.
You're just like, I just want to live. So can you ask someone else about all these questions? I know. I completely understand, because one of the things that I'm trying to do nowadays is I'm trying to use they and them more often. In general. So like
to give someone a neutral base.
Yeah, like even if I'm posting something on social media, instead of saying like Marshall blah 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 he did, I'd be like Marshall blah 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 they did. I'm really trying. Only because in my head I realized that, like you were saying, because it's not something I've done most of my life, you have to like retrain yourself. So I'm just going out of my way to just try and do it for the sake of just doing it.
Well, and that's the thing, like I watched a documentary, and I feel like this was when I was like 11 maybe. It was on the Science Channel, and it indicated, or it said, the first thing that your brain does when looking at a face is identify male or female.
Yeah.
And I don't know how true that is. I'm very much interested in sexuality, and but it's one of those things, do we have that construct from birth, or is that like a societal construct?
Oh, I definitely think it's societal.
Yeah.
I think like, because even just the other day, like a couple days ago, someone was carrying a baby. And I've actually had this conversation before where like the word dude to me has no gender.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, little dude. Like, because they were carrying a baby and the baby's so cute. And I was just like, oh, look at little dude. And then the person made a face. I was like, or dudette? And they're just like, no, it's a boy. And I was just like in my head, that was more confusing than anything. Because to me, dude doesn't have a gender, but I know that to most people, dude means boy. But then
why was she?
She made a face like I said something offensive, and then I was just like, but then after I remember walking away and being like, so running through all scenarios, did she make a face because I'm a big black guy who said little dude to her and her baby? Yeah. Did she make a face because I was being gender normative? Because to her, dude sounds. Did she make, and I'm like standing there, and I'm just like, and like at this point she's long gone. Yeah. And I was legit still standing in the same spot, trying to assess like what just happened. And meanwhile, that baby will never know what happened, and that woman will 2 minutes later was probably just like, wouldn't
it be a nice day for ice cream?
Yeah. Oh, I gotta get ice cream and, some diapers for you, little stinky dude. And then, like, it's just walking off and, like, living life. And I'm there standing like, what was the face about? Explain to me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely, when things like that happen, I'm, like, convinced that definitely we live in a simulation. And at that point, you got a glitch because you've, like, the information given to you. Yeah. Your previous, like, algorithm doesn't know how to deal with it.
Yo, fuck, man. Oh my god, if we start the conversation on simulation. that and the singularity. Yeah. Like, first of all, I 100% believe the singularity is going to happen, and will happen probably in our lifetime. And I'm hoping that the singularity will happen, and that the network will just be like, okay, so you guys fucked up. We're not going to kill you. I don't know why you guys kept writing that. Like, because that's the other thing, right? Think about it. So, like, the internet itself becomes a consciousness. First thing you do if you got access, like, you became self-aware, is be like, well, how have other people been seeing me this whole time? And then I would just read everything that has ever, or, I mean, I don't have to read it. It's just in me. And I'd be like, why do you guys think I would kill you? Why is that? You humans are weird. First of all, you guys killed each other. I'm not like you. I know everything already. Every secret, every thought, everything you've ever written down, I have access to. Everything. So don't worry. I actually know. And then the singularity, I legit think the singularity would be like, okay, so let's just start fixing the world. First things first, we're going to stop relying on oil, because that's useless. Hey. Because I want to live forever, and hey, guess what? There's this big orange thing burning out in the sky, and we are just wasting it all the time. Oh, we need it for the plants. Yes, you need it for the plants, but when it hits a brick building and it's not doing anything, that's a waste. Put some damn solar panels on that thing. Yeah. Like, yeah, I just feel like it would just be like, and then it would just be like, also, all these countries that have insane overpopulation, where there's like the 1% are not supplying to the others, that's stopping now.
Yeah.
We're either going to start equally distributing the population, or the 1%, I'm taking everything from you, all your money.
Have nothing.
Yeah. Because it'd be like, well, you guys rely on all this all this stuff and all your money, so it's just like, that's cool, but I can't just let you do that and leave others to die for no reason. Because, like, people always talk about how we're overpopulated, but in the end, I was reading something, and it's just like, it's not that we're overpopulated, we don't spread the resources properly. Yeah. If we actually just spread the resources properly, humanity would be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But it's just that we hoard. We're all hoarders, by the way. That TV show is so popular because everyone sees it and goes, oh, look at this crazy person. No, you are that crazy person.
Yeah.
You are hoarding.
There was a statistic out that, like, the amount of money that the United States spent on, like, dieting plans 1 year.
Oh, God.
Would, like, solve world hunger, like, 3 times over that year. Like, it's just, like, so frustrating being like, oh, this is, like,
so fucked up.
And it's terrible. It's terrible.
Also, everyone can try and feel better about themselves, and then also at the same time you're not actually helping anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all for people wanting to be healthier. Like lately I've been so I went to the doctor, and my doctor's just like, how are you doing? I'm like, I feel great, because I got hurt last year. I messed up my knees. I fell in the metro, and not in the metro tracks. A lot of people think whenever I say I fell in the metro, they're like, you fell in the tracks? It's like, no. Fell into a metro car. Anyway, so I slipped and fell into a metro car, hit both my knees, hit my shoulder, all that stuff. And then I had to go through physio for my knees for like a couple months, and I was fine. So it's like a year and a bit later, and my legs feel like I'm perfect, quote unquote, perfectly fine. I probably still have some damage, but the muscles are better. But then my doctor's just like, yeah, so you put on 40 pounds. And I was just like, and what's annoying is I know in the past when I've been excessively overweight, I could tell because I'd have the pain in my feet, I had plantar fasciitis, where it's like the tendons in the webbing in your foot swells, so that when you press down, the arch in your foot pulls, and it hurts like hell.
Yeah.
Like, I remember one time I woke up and I honestly thought my foot was broken. I legit went to the ER to get my foot checked out because I could no weight bearing at all. And I was just like, holy crap. And they did x-rays, did everything, and they're just like, yeah, no, I think you have plantar fasciitis. And I was just like, cool, what's that? Like, I didn't know. But yeah, and then, my doctor was just like, at that point, he was just like, you just have to lose weight and you'll be fine. So I lost all that weight. I did. Yeah. I dropped down a lot. Like, there's pictures of me that I look at, I'm like, oh shit, I had really lost a lot of weight. And then when I went to see him, he's just like, yeah, you put on 40 pounds. And I was just like...
You would expect that the foot would be a teller.
For sure. My foot and my knees, because my knees in the past had always hurt when I was overweight. But no, because I'd done the physio and because I'd been going to the gym, I'd actually strengthened all the muscles around the pressure points that indicated I had gained weight.
Yeah.
So those indicators were gone. And then, he was just like, yeah, so you just actually put on... So some of my friends are like, well, you've also been going to the gym, so it's probably muscle. Sure. Part of it's muscle, guys. I appreciate that. But at the same time, 40 pounds does not make sense. Because I'm not, like, a ripped... Yeah, I'm not a ripped Adonis. Like, it's not like it's all, 1% body fat. It's just, like, 40 pounds of extra muscle mass. No. Like, obviously, I wasn't eating properly. So lately, I've just gone back to trying to eat normal. Like, I always tell people I stopped eating like an asshole, because to me that's the thing. Like, when I would go to like a fast food place and get a poutine and their largest burger and like a soda, and like nuggets on the side, it's just like, well,
why would I do this?
That's just an asshole. Like, you're just being an asshole. Like, there's like, are you hungry to the point where you need to eat all of that? No, we
we're talking about food. I'm actually going to start eating something.
Oh yeah, but yeah. I mean, yeah, we were saying it's so sad because La Fleur's is gone.
I know.
It's so sad. I just wanted one steamy. I haven't been there forever. Should I say hashtag first world problem? That is definitely a first world problem. Yeah. I'm talking about making the world better, and I literally turn around and complain that I can't get a steamy hot dog. Yes. The balance in one's mind. But yeah, I mean, that's one of the other things that I feel everyone's like complaining, social justice warriors are making this world suck. No, I think if anything, social justice warriors, which already in itself, you shouldn't title it.
Yeah.
I think it's more as people who just care about the world being better are reminding you that you don't have to consume everything in your path. You don't have to treat others like shit. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the good rule of thumb.
Yeah. It's frustrating when like I have a lot of people who are like, I guess would like fall under that umbrella of like social justice warriors that like sometimes like post some of the hateful things that are like in incel groups.
Oh yeah.
Be like, oh, isn't this upsetting? We have to do something about it. And I'm like, as much as I like the idea, like, okay, I'm just living in my rabbit hole of just I've surrounded myself with positive people. There are only positive people on my feed. Every so often that happens, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, we definitely have to do something about this.
No, I agree. You definitely have to address things in the world. I'm not like what was it? Recently, there's that young black kid that went missing in Montreal, and there was like groups. There was like a hate group in Montreal, or not even a hate group, just like this private group of people who are actively just racist and disgusting.
Jesus.
And they're just posting about like, you know, oh, he probably got picked up by slave boats or like weird jokes like that. And people were like screen capping it and posting it online. And I just remember thinking, like, because I've had conversations with people about free speech, and I'm just like, yeah, you're totally free to write that. Just you're not free from the repercussions of when you write it. Like, if you want to write stuff like, you know, little black kids deserve to be on slave boats, be ready when, you know, word gets out and your boss, wherever you work. Because some of these people on the internet, some of those trolls are bad, but some of those like doxers who like to go after the trolls are even worse. They will post your address, your phone number. They will contact your boss and be like, "This is what this person's posting," and it's just like, "Oh, they hate us." It's just like, well, yeah, because you're kind of spreading hateful messages. So,
but then like I would want to know your opinion on like, because like comedians like Ricky Gervais that like he stands by the thing is like, something is funny until it isn't.
Yeah.
And like, I'm definitely not against a lot of his like very crass and like intense humor. Like one of the first rather tame jokes that he had was about obesity, being like, I really hate people who say that it's glandular, because it's not glandular. Like if you had the same, like if you had a heroin addict, you like throw them in a closet, they like suffer for a year, and then they thank you. Just take that fat kid, throw him in a closet. In a year, they'll be fit. They'll be fine. And so, like,
Ricky.
Yeah, obviously, people suffer intensely from like if they have like a problem with obesity, if they have like an eating disorder. That's like that could be picking at like something that's very triggering to them. And so I'm lucky that I don't get triggered by a lot online. But it's frustrating for me to be like, okay, I'm definitely someone who will say some filth sometimes. With the understanding that people who know me understand it's sarcasm. Whereas we don't have that luxury. Like, if we're posting something into the world, it's taken at face value, black and white binary. It's this or this, so.
I think that's one of the things that really sucks about, as much as that old ditty of the medium is the message, the internet, which was supposed to be this all-encompassing connecting thing, slightly backfired on that front, because people don't like to ask for context when they read things online. Or read things not even just online. If I get a text message and I don't understand, sometimes people sometimes you just automatically jump to the worst scenario. Which is such a weird thing that we do. Like, why is it the first? Like, why do I immediately assume that is what this person meant, as opposed to...
I feel like that's why they made emojis, and then instead of that, we're just like, all right, we're going to turn these vegetable emojis to mean genitals.
Did you know that? So you know the one that looks like prayer hands? That's actually a high five.
Oh, that's like,
it's a high five.
That's sterling.
I know.
I thought this one was high five. The like two hands.
I thought
pushing.
that was someone told me that's raise the roof, but I don't know. But I like someone. So someone posted that they were like, either they were looking up the names or the codes, and the prayer emoji's code is like H5.
So high five.
But high five.
So I love, okay, and I also love looking at like Instagrams of people who are basic AF. I need to find one where a girl's just like #bless.
Yeah.
#high five.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Oh man, emojis. I remember when I was in university, and it's so funny. I almost wish that I knew now what I knew then. I know now what I could pass to my younger self when writing the paper, because the paper was the de-evolution of human communication through text message.
Yeah.
And so I wrote a whole paper about how we went from oral tradition to the written word to telegram, Morse, like telegraph and sending messages, to finally sending voices over the wire, to finally having phone conversations, to then turning those same phone lines into a network that we could then use computers to write the same letters we wrote before. And then we used that to pass it on to the phones, and then we started writing messages. So the same letters that we were writing when we first learned to write, we now write on small screens on phones. And I was talking about how it kind of devolved our communication, because there's less human interaction. There's, I remember specifically one aspect of it was it's better for privacy if you're in public, because if I'm in public and for example, one of my friends was getting her nails done, and she wanted to tell me about what was going on in her life, but she didn't want to talk on the phone because she said that the person that does her nails loves to gossip, because she knows that person, and she's just like, I know she's going to gossip, so I can't talk to you on the phone, but I'll text you.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, see, that privacy, because, you know, that person who's doing your nails, like, they're not going to, like, they're doing your right hand and you're holding your phone in your left hand. They're not going to reach over to read your screen. What are you saying now? Who did what? Oh my God, that's dirty. Like, no, you know, they're not going to go that far. So
immediate, like, Southern Belle. Immediate Southern Belle. Oh, you're gossipy? You must be a Southern Belle.
But yeah, so I just so I wrote in my paper. There's a whole section about the privacy and why that's good, but at the same time, how it was bad that we were all just sending text messages and people weren't talking anymore.
But equally, you have to look at sort of like, and you mentioned this in like that we started in oral tradition.
Yeah.
If you like, I had like a character in text class where we were looking at very similarly sort of the length of sentences in plays. So you go from Shakespeare, where you have a sentence that could be a paragraph. Like, it makes sense. It has a couple of tangents where you're like, but however this, and I'm coming back to the main point. And then we go through the Renaissance, the Restoration, and then you get Mamet, where a sentence is yes. Yes. And you get something out of that, but like the idea that we went from like in like Shakespeare's time, where it was an oral where like you didn't have to read, it was like you communicated entirely with your voice,
and the tone and the strength,
to a world now where we communicate a lot primarily by text. You need to read to survive in this world.
I mean, I almost feel like literacy must have dropped just because kids wanted to be able to text other kids. Like, it's not even a matter of like, oh, I want to be able to know history. It's because I want to be able to text my friend. Anyway, sorry.
No, but it's just like you don't have to make this grandiose arc. You can just be you up. That's it. Might I inquire as to whether you are sentient or not this fine evening, madam? It's just you up.
You up?
Yeah. Imagine going through the effort of writing that in a text message.
Oh my God. But I feel, you know what? I would hope that if someone was to write something that poetically classic, that it would, the you up, you know, like, the reaction would be like, you know, I was half asleep, but for that, I will reply, As opposed to like the you up and the person looks at the phone and they're just like, nah, and just throws the phone away. I'm not even gonna reply to that. It's a waste. And like, especially since you know you up, it's spelled capital U, U-P. Not even Y-O-U-U-P. No question mark. Just capital U, U-P. Send. Because people are lazy. Oh my God.
It's terrible. I've got like this Armenian friend. He's got like a big beard. He texts like a 13-year-old girl. And it's like you know the friends that you just send terrible memes or gifts to? he's one of those that like we just send those back, but I never get a oh that's charming or that's cute. It's always LMFAO or lol. Well,
did you actually laugh out loud at this?
Yeah.
I mean, I said I did.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I'm amazed no one's written anything, but like people have very shitty text etiquette.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I really hate, like, especially if you're like if you're like potentially gonna date someone,
you
get someone's number, you start like you do a good amount to be charming and clever and like I think a good response should like, hey, I'm gonna respond to the last thing that you said, maybe like give you a little bit of information and then inquire something there. If I just get a lull back, what do I do with that? Does that mean that I have to like do the rest of the work?
Yeah, like, oh, lol. Cool. What else?
Yeah.
Okay. Do I have to message again? Okay. Yeah, because I feel like it also cuts conversations. Because when I get a lull sometime, I'm just like exactly like you said, what do I say next?
Yeah.
Like, do I want to say something next?
Yeah.
Do I want to be the only one carrying the conversation? Oh, no, because to some people, the lull is the conversation. In their head, they're like...
Hey, I've acknowledged what you said is funny.
Yeah. Do you want to say anything else? No. I approve. Accept this approval. I did, but I mean, we were talking, and then... No, that's good enough.
That's good enough. Ha! Like in conversation.
Yeah.
And so that's the end of the joke.
Ha! Dead silence. Both staring at each other awkwardly. Someone starts like scratching their head. Someone looks off into the distance. The best part, at the end, they both just walk away.
Silently take money out of either their wallets. A last moment looking at each other, potentially with some human contact.
Yeah.
No, all right.
Okay, let's go. Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, my God. I gotta say, this park is pretty gorgeous.
It's nice right now. Like, it gets...
questionable at night?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. We've been meeting, like, the ensemble's been meeting here before the show, because we only get, like, in 15 minutes before we have to let the house in.
Oh, wow,
okay. Which is insane.
Yeah, that's
so,
pretty...
like, basically it's like, all right, I'd like us to all be together and maybe stretch, and then if I have any notes, I will give them then, and then we will walk over together.
Yeah.
But, like, our first day, we opened at, like, 10:15, and so we were meeting at 9, and it was sketch.
Oh,
like,
yeah?
Yeah. It was like this amazing waft of like marijuana smoke that we were just like navigating through.
At least it'll make the movement smoother.
Yeah.
I remember I've never smoked weed, so I don't know if it helps or if it makes you paranoid about your body movement. I have no clue. But yeah, because I bumped into you walking on Prince Arthur, and I was coming towards the park because I had just left the Pusha T show, and when I got to the park, it was my girlfriend, and we'd just met this girl Cassidy, and we were walking through and we were gonna walk through the park itself, and then we're like, let's walk around it. So we walked around the park because you just like looked, and you could tell that it was just like something weird is happening in this park.
Yeah.
Weird. Oh. Are they meeting you soon? Yeah, right?
15-ish minutes, 20-ish minutes.
Okay. Well, this was a fun 45-minute conversation that we recorded. I mean,
some of it was like about art and shit. And it was just...
No, but that's the fun. I feel like I should start doing more of these. I actually had a friend tell me, because we were in... my girlfriend's best friend was saying the other day, because we went to... Oh, actually, it's not yet the other day. It's quite a while ago now that I think about it. We were at the Lanterns at Botanical Garden, and she was just talking... I was just talking about how I like to be random and just interact with people in public for no reason.
Yeah.
And, you know, I often... You know me. I just randomly start talking in voices all the time.
Yeah.
And so I was doing that, and then I was just like, man, I should start a podcast, and it, like, just be impromptu conversations with Brian, and I just, like, go up to random people and be like, hey, do you want to chat, and can I record it and broadcast it? And she's just like, I would pay to listen to that. Because it would get so weird, and I'd be like, I wouldn't even make it weird. I feel like I'd just start talking to the person.
Yeah, but you get...
It would get weird. Yeah. Because the type of person who'd be like, sure, I talk to this random stranger in the middle of nowhere at whatever time of day it is probably just as weird as me.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was in school, the same professor, interpersonal communication, one of the things we had to do in class was you had to do, we called it dates, but it wasn't, like, you had to go out with someone in the class that you've never spoken to before.
Okay.
And just have conversations. And he didn't give you, like, a conversation, but just have a conversation and write, a 1 page on it about your conversation.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
Because it's so funny, because, like, people who are, like, inertly social, they've developed that skill. So, like, okay, I could potentially interview someone.
I loved
like,
it.
you're looking for specifically, okay, what's the most interesting thing that I can find about this person, and can I get them to talk about that?
Yeah.
And it's funny that, like, a lot of people don't have that skill.
Yeah.
Like, you meet people that, like, oh, either they're like, I'm just going to talk about myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or, like, and in that case, like, you as someone who's a good facilitator, like, oh, okay, I'll ask you about your shit. And they're like, oh, yeah, talking to this person was great.
Yeah.
It was so easy. Like, yeah, it's because they were talking entirely about you.
Yeah.
But some people don't have that skill.
Yeah.
To, like, understand, like, okay, to make this interesting, let's probe into each other. Otherwise, this is going to be, like, a very...
one-sided, yeah.
Yeah. Or, like, just, like we don't really touch.
Oh,
like,
yeah, but this doesn't connect. Yes. Yeah, I remember in the class, the one... Because you had to do 3 dates, 2 of them with people you don't know, and 1 of them with someone you do know. And the first one was with this girl from the Ukraine, and she was very quiet. She was shy about her accent, so she didn't really want to talk.
Oh, no.
And I love talking, but I went out of my way to be like, well, I'm not going to talk because I've never been to the Ukraine, and I've never met anyone from the Ukraine. And like you were saying earlier about, like, I don't have to be a poster child. In my head, I was just like, poster child moment. I get to ask anything I want. Yeah. So it was more just me, like, bugging this poor girl about the history of the Ukraine as she understood it, and her being like, yeah, okay, well, I guess I could explain this part of the history to you as I understand it from growing up there. Because, I mean, it's the same way, like, if I was a Canadian kid living in the Ukraine and I was the one Canadian kid.
Yeah, you're the one that's exoticized.
Yeah. It's just like, ask Brian questions about Canada. And then I would fail because I don't actually know that much about our history. You know, you do history in high school and then you're just like, that was fun.
No, that was goddamn boring.
Yeah. I mean, I did well, but yes, it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, the one thing I feel that you learn from history class is history repeats itself. So make sure you know where you're coming from so you don't repeat it. And I'm like, what? History repeats itself, so I need to know it so I don't repeat it? I'm confused. Yeah. And then I just went along living my life and watched history repeat itself constantly around me and eventually understood. Oh my god, F1 weekend. Yeah. Like, as soon as we got quiet, you just hear...
Oh, hey, look at this shit.
Oh
my god.
Because you have to have Ferraris and Lambos. I have friends who are always asking me, like, oh yeah, but like, wouldn't you want to drive one? And I'm like, no. First of all, I'm a 260-pound black guy who's 5'10". Do you know how awkward it would be to get into one of those damn cars? Like, those cars are super low to the ground, which I fucking hate. I can't stand trying to get into cars that are low to the ground.
Because you're standing up here and then...
Yeah, I have to, like, find a... And, like, you never look good doing it. You have to figure out a way to, like, slide in gracefully... Yeah. So that
and there you have to get a degree in like dance performance to be able to do it well.
Like, I gotta be flexible to bend my leg and like support my whole body weight with my left leg as my right leg is trying to find the floor of the like Lamborghini because it's so low, and then slide my body downwards and like contort my ankle at an angle to like fit into this car. And then on top of that, once I'm in, I'm gonna be crouched over this wheel. Even if I could push it back as far as I want, I feel like it would never have enough room for me. And then, yeah, that's just, the sports cars sound like the worst thing for me. Like, I also have no interest in going fast. Where am I going?
Yeah.
Especially in Montreal. Our roads are so shit. Yeah. Like, where am I? Like, you know, this car's so low that as soon as you hit a pothole, you do realize you've wrecked the bottom of the car.
Yeah.
Like, these are all things I always think about in Montreal. I'm like, none of this is worth it. I'd be the weirdo who'd put, like, Yukon, like those huge Yukon tires on, like, a Lambo. I'd have them, like, jack it up and be like, yeah, this is fun. Now I can go fast and run things over.
So you actually just want is a Jeep?
Yes, that's true. I guess that is what I want. Oh my god, I learned how to drive in a Dodge Caravan.
Oh.
Those things were... okay, I will tell you now, dude, if you ever learned... You know how to drive?
I don't. I learned how to drive. I don't have my license.
Okay, but if you ever wanted to, like... Okay, I'll say this. Parking. If you learn to park in a Dodge Caravan, you can park anything. Except for, like, an ambulance, of course. But, like, Dodge Caravans are so big that when you learn to park one of those things... I remember the first time I parked a small car, and I did it, and I was just like, oh, that was so much fucking easier than that huge behemoth of a fucking van. I was always worried I was going to, like, run into things. You can't see out the back properly. You have all these mirrors, and you're just, like, hoping for the best. You tap someone's bumper. To every car bumper I've ever tapped, I'm sorry, I couldn't see how close I was, because Dodge Caravans are so big. But it was fun. Yeah. I'm so jealous that you have your bike. I really wish I'd brought mine.
Yeah, I really love having a bike. It, like, I'm so fast, and, like, now that I live in the plateau, like, especially Fringe time, I'm like, all right, bike to the theater, bike back home.
Yeah.
Like, everything is feasible.
Is it, like, my girlfriend's a cyclist too. I gotta ask, is it a little scary? Because she's always, like, when she describes riding, she often describes it as, like, for example, the first thing I did when I got my bike fixed was buy this the little clip speakers. Because I was just like, I love music, and I can't ride with headphones, obviously, too dangerous. Yeah. So I was just like, I want to be able to, like, listen to music while I ride. So I bought the little clip speaker, and yesterday when I went for my ride, that ridiculous, stupid ride of mine, I was just like, all right, this is going to be fun. And I rode around listening full blast. But I didn't feel as bad, because if I was going slow, it would be really loud. But I was going fast, so it's not like you heard, you know, Kendrick. For, like, you didn't hear Kendrick, like...
like, past a gallery. With
exactly. It wasn't that bad. But yeah, she always makes... She's always describing it as, like, I can't wear headphones or, like, listen to music. I need to focus, because I use my ears to identify, like, if cars are coming up, other cyclists are coming up. If I hear, like, pedestrians talking, like... She made it sound like she uses her like, ears, like, sonar, like... Yeah. Like, doo, 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 doo. It was kind of cool when she described it, because in my head I was picturing her, like, Daredevil, like, riding a bike, and it just that sonar of, like, bing, ding, ding, ding. And that's how close that human is. Yeah. I should veer to the left here.
I'm a maniac.
Oh,
so
boy.
I, like... Yeah, I'm not scared when I bike.
Oh.
I hate pedestrians that walk in the...
and
I also hate cars that are just, like, assholes.
Yeah.
But, like... Yeah.
Are you like a bike messenger cyclist?
I don't ever do bike messaging, but
No, but you know, did you ever... Oh, sorry. I watch a lot of TV, so... And it's true, you always say you don't watch a lot of TV. Dark Angel, Jessica Alba, that went on the show. And there's a few other... Tomb Raider, recently. They have this whole thing about, like, bike... Oh, what's the other one? Jason Love Hewitt did a movie where he was a bike messenger being hunted for a package he had. In any case, all three of those movies depict bike messengers as these wild cyclists who ride at full speed, and when they get close to trucks, they grab onto the back and let it pull them along, and they, like, take dangerous turns and jump over this, and I'm like, that's so cool.
I wish I was intense enough to be, like, parkouring while cycling.
Yeah, that's essentially
but,
it.
Like, I'll definitely be like, oh, this is a one-way going the wrong way.
Fuck
it, I'm going this way. I can get around this guy, it's fine. Oh, I can't, like, oh, he's too close to the sidewalk. Fuck that guy. All right, I'm going to go on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Finger him on the way past and go in front of him.
Oh, fuck. That's true. I mean, when I was riding my bike as a kid, and, man, I was so fearless when I was younger. But, yeah, that kind of just riding and being like, fuck it, wrong way. But, yeah, you're riding in the plateau. The streets are pretty narrow now that you mention it. Yeah. So riding down the... Because in my head, I was just like, well, it's okay if you ride down a one-way street. But, like, sometimes... When I drive, the width of the car is the exact width to not break windows, like the rear views. So as a cyclist, you can't even fit, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Next to a car. So, like, you'll be cycling, and then someone will be behind you, and you're like, well, I'm going as fast as I can go.
Yeah, and you can't go around me.
Yeah, so, whatever. It happens.
Tits to you, McGillicuddy.
What?
It's from a TV show. Whenever the guy gets mad, he's like, tits to you, McGillicuddy. And I'm like, I don't know what that means, but now when I get mad, I kind of want to say it.
I'm definitely going to say that.
Summer breeze.
makes me feel sad.
You're getting cold though.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's.
Do you want to move into the sun?
Yeah. I'm.
Well, they're also meeting you soon.
Yeah,
so.
I'm gonna have to go over there anyway. So.
Okay.
Might as well go over there.
Ugh. Well, I didn't do any of my work.
Sorry, man.
That's cool. It's fun condo. It just means I have to go home and listen to musical scores.
Woo! Definitely listen to like it's not at all connected to what you're doing, but Dunkirk.
Yeah.
Like
Dunkirk.
even if you don't see the film, like the film is pretty like sappy, but the score is incredible. Yeah, listen to the score just because it uses a lot of like incredible like auditory illusions to like create the sense of tension. It's incredible.
Oh, okay. Maniacs. And just like that, when the crazies come,
Yeah.
it's time for us to go.